What's going on, everybody, here in the New Coach Kickstart? My name is Scotty. I'll get the camera changed so you don't have to look at two of me. That's kind of weird. Anyway, I'm super excited to be able to share with you guys today about the why and not the how. And I want you guys to know a little bit about me before I get started. Is I am, in the 5 love languages, words of affirmation. So if you comment that you're here or you throw up some hearts, I guarantee you I will get even more fired up about sharing about this topic, which is super important to me because it's the reason that we have the life that we have today. So pardon my voice today. I have a massive sinus head cold today, so that's why I was a little bit late hopping on for this call. So I apologize about that, but here we are. I'm going to talk about your why and why that is the most important part of this business. And not all of the how-tos. Like, the how-tos would be like how to market yourself on social media, how to, find people on Instagram, how to invite, how to overcome objections, placing coaches on the left side, on the right side. All of those things are the how. So we're going to talk specifically about the why, but I have something that I want you guys to write down. This business is literally going to be, like, your success is going to be 95% your mindset, and 5% the mechanics. And the mechanics are the how-tos that we just mentioned. So I'm going to talk about my why, what drives me. And as I talk about some of these stories, I want you to begin to write down the things that come to you, intuition that comes to your mind as I share stories with you. And that's the power of a story, is when you hear somebody else's story, it makes you think about something in your life in that aspect. And your why is like, you're going to have like a foundational why about who you are and what you stand for and what you want to accomplish and achieve. But parts of your why are going to change throughout your journey as well. So the very first strong why for me to build this business is I remember on April 11th, 2011, I got to work about 5 or 10 minutes before work started, just before 5 o'clock a.m. And I remember I had this habit of picking up the mail from our lockbox, which is at the end of the cul-de-sac. And this was 18 days after the birth of my third daughter, Elena. And I remember I ran the service and shipping department. So I would just go in there and I would throw all the junk mail away and all the coupons, and I would stack neatly the bills that I had to pay inside of my lunchbox. And then that way, when lunch came, when my hour lunch break would come, I would pull out my spreadsheet on my Excel, on my laptop, or my desktop there at work, and I would do my bills there at lunch. And I did that because our schedule was so busy. I worked 5 to 5 every single day. My wife would leave for work at 3, so 2 hours before I got home. Drop the kids off at the neighbor's house right here, and she would go to the Hilton Garden Inn to work the night shift from 3 to 11. She'd get home at like 11:30. I would come home at 5, pick the kids up, and then I would take care of them here. So it was a very busy lifestyle. So I would do the bills at work on my lunch break. And so this particular day, I remember opening the bills and looking at them, and it was 18 days after my daughter Alina was born. It had the doctor bill, the hospital bill, the anesthesiologist bill. There was like an ear doctor bill. And I added them up, and I just remember feeling this huge weight on my shoulders, this huge burden. And I felt like my cubicle just began. I sat there and I felt like my cubicle was spinning around. And I had no control. And I don't know, have you guys ever felt like that before? And it was like, I began to question some things like, how am I going to pay for these hospital bills? We're already paycheck to paycheck. Do I need to get a second job? Do I need to go back to school? Do I need to have someone watch my kids at night and go to another night job? Does Gabby need to work a day job that pays more and the kids are in daycare all day and not taken care of by her in the morning and me at night? And all of these things I began to feel those things. And I remember a lot of other things that I was feeling as well. Like, man, this is not how I imagined my life being. Like, we don't sit together as a family for dinner. Like, I believe that myself and my wife, or you guys may be thinking that, you and your husband and your kids should be able to sit down without being rushed and eat a family dinner, have a family prayer and eat dinner and spend time together. And it just wasn't happening. So that was the beginning of my why. My burning desire is I was willing to change that. I was willing to make that shift. And so that morning, I signed up as a coach. I reached out to Lindsay and I said, hey, I'm ready. And long story short, she invited me for about 8 months prior to that, and I just kept telling her, no, not for me. I'm gonna help people with P90X, but I'm not gonna sign up as a coach. That morning I signed up, and I remember being super excited. The one thing I want you guys to know, Lindsay left on a trip she won to Cabo as I'm a brand new coach, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build this business. I'm going to do this. And I had a lot of questions. I was scared, I was nervous, I was afraid, I was excited. All of those emotions at the same time, and a little overwhelmed. But I knew that that all the tools were there. I knew that my coach would give me direction, that she wanted what was best for me. So I just started, and I remember doing my Getting Started Right call with her. And I remember having this conversation. Well, there's so many topics I could talk about. I'll briefly mention them because I see so many excuses. When we started, I didn't have internet in my home to even do my coach training. I didn't have a computer at home, and I didn't have a smartphone. I just had a Nokia phone that took forever to send a text on. So, but if your why is strong enough, you're gonna find a way around that, and a driving force behind that. So I did my Getting Started Right call and my coach training from my neighbor's house. And I remember also asking Lindsay, I asked her, hey, she's like, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And I was like, I need to make $10,000 as a coach. And Lindsay told me this, Scotty, I cannot promise you $10,000, but I promise that your income will be a direct reflection of the number of lives that you change. And I remember thinking, okay, done. I'm going to change as many lives as I possibly can. And then the next question came like, okay, but give me an idea of like how many lives that means. And I just remember Lindsay telling me, you need to hit Success Club 10 every single month. And I said, okay, done. Let's do it. And so I made that commitment. Another part of so number one that I want you to look at, my strong why was I was willing to do whatever it took to make that $10,000. The $10,000 is the goal, but the why behind the goal equals, if I make $10,000, my wife could come home from work and she won't have to be away at nights. We could put the kids to bed together. We can sit down and eat dinner together when I get home from work at 5. So the goal is $10,000. The why behind the goal is to be together as a family, bring her home from work, and spend more time together. So I get started. I hit Success Club 10 in my first 2 weeks because I'm not worried about all the training in the world. I'm worried about finding somebody and giving them this solution of health and fitness and nutrition and the support from me so that I can do that. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And one thing I want you guys to think about right now is a lot of you guys are asking yourself this question: can I really do this? Can I really advance to Emerald, Diamond, Star Diamond, move up this elite leadership points and all of that stuff? I want you guys to ask a different question. Am I willing to do what it takes? And for me, I was willing to do what it takes. And within a few days of becoming a coach, I remember sitting at my cubicle again, logging into before work to my challenge group, checking in with them right before work, and I saw all these people on a cruise ship with Tony Horton, and I was furious. I was so mad. And I was mad because I said to myself, hey, I'm one of the hardest working guys. I love these workouts. I love the results that I have. And so I know I can work as hard as any of those people on that cruise ship, but I'm not. They're enjoying the Caribbean, and I'm stuck here in this cubicle. And I'm not okay with that. I'm a good person and I work hard. So I deserve that. So I remember asking Lindsay, how do I go on that trip? And she said, you need to hit Success Club 10 every single month for the course of this year, and you will earn the trip next year. We're going to Bahamas. So this is another part of my why. I immediately put my screensaver as those towers with the arch above it that is at Atlantis, because that is where the Success Club trip was going to be. So I put that other why on my radar, and somewhere I could see it 12 hours a day on my laptop as the background screen. So that was my why. I began to work. And work for me was listening to team calls, listening to National Wake Up Calls while I'm changing diapers and doing dishes because Gabby's at work at night, and I have 3 kids, and one of them's a 3-week-old as I get started. So I'm not okay with anybody giving excuses because I get home from a 12-hour workday. I raise 3 little girls, ages 4, 2, and 3 weeks old by myself while my wife's at work. And then when they go to bed, I work on this business and I spend all of my time reaching out to people, contacting people, inviting people, and telling this story of, hey, guys, this works. I lost 38 pounds in 90 days following the meal plan and using these workouts. I believe it can help you. And here's the thing. I'm so committed to helping you get results with this program, because if you get results and I help enough people like you get results, then my wife doesn't have to work at night and we can sit down together and eat dinner together. And people jumped on board with that vision and that goal and that why that I had. As I began to work, I was falling more and more in love with the process. I remember at about 8 months, and this is where my story, my why gets stronger. It got super difficult, super hard. I was exhausted. I was tired. I hit diamond in 90 days, and some of my team was not doing what I was doing. I was frustrated and tired, and I don't know if I can keep on going on with this. I knew that I would never quit because I made that decision that I will do whatever it takes. But I remember having this moment about 8 months into my coaching journey where I had a man cold, and you women on here know what that's like when your men get sick. And I was home from work for 3 days. And I remember it was a Friday and my wife is like, hey, Scotty, the kids are about going to get home from work or from school. The kids are about going to get home from school. I think you should just get up, shower, get dressed, and go down and get Kina from the school bus. And I think you'll start to feel better. It's just time to get up. And so I did that. I got up. I'm walking down the cul-de-sac. And I remember I was halfway down the cul-de-sac when the bus pulled up to the end of our cul-de-sac where it stops. And as I'm walking there, I'm about halfway down the cul-de-sac. And the bus stops. I remember the sound of the door opening. And I can see the bus driver through the door. The door, he slides open and makes that screeching sound. The stop sign flops out. And then these two little hands of this 6-year-old girl just grab the rail to walk down those 3 little stairs. And she looks up and she sees me. And I stop in my tracks. And I'm getting emotional thinking back on that moment. But it stopped me and tears started streaming down my cheeks. And I was overcome with this feeling that I hadn't experienced before. And I began to question some things. She looked at me and our eyes locked and she had the biggest smile that a 6-year-old little girl can have, because her daddy was picking her up from the school bus, and that had never happened before. And I remember I asked myself some questions in those few moments as I got my composure and continued to walk over there to give her a hug and to walk her back to the home. Is how many of these moments like that have I missed? Because I'm at this job 12 hours a day, and when I get home, I'm so exhausted that I'm not giving my family 100% of me. Also, how many more of these moments will I continue to miss if I don't continue pushing through, grow stronger through the trials and struggles I'm having trying to build this business, and just freaking figure it out? And it was that moment where it went from, okay, I'm going to bring my wife home, make $10,000 at the end of the year so she can come home from work, but I'm going to make this my lifestyle. I love coaching people. This is going to be the way that I provide a living for my family, and I'm going to do this full time. And so that's this day that I made a decision that not just Gabby was going to come home from work, but I was going to come home from work, and I was never going to be told by a boss that I can't go to my daughter's parent-teacher conference, I can't go to a soccer game, I can't go to a play, or I can't go do reading time with them, or I can't volunteer for the Valentine's Day party with my kids. And I made that decision, but it was also another moment where I was like, dude, Scotty, if you can do this, you can teach, mentor, inspire, and challenge anybody to build this business. Because if you can do it, Scotty, anybody can do this. And I say that because, long story short, is I'm a college dropout. I was addicted to cocaine and I drank every single day in my early 20s. And I overcame that, and I just figured if this guy can do that, that's had all of those struggles and hardships, then I could teach anybody to do this business. And so I set the goal to come home from work with my wife, and just kind of to show you guys the power of setting a specific goal. Not just setting a specific goal, but then tying a strong why behind it. what that will do for you. Our 1099 at the end of that year was $10,800. $800 more than what I set the goal for that year. And here's the thing. I don't know exactly all of the mechanics on how that happened, but 95% of that success of hitting that goal was because I believed it was possible for me. These three things I want you to write down. I believed it was possible for me. I said, instead of saying, why can't I do it? Why are all these people successful, not me? I said, why not me? Number one. So I had full belief in myself. I had full belief that these products will change someone's life. And number three, I had full belief that this coach opportunity, if somebody works it, will completely transform somebody's life. And I was living that. So I want you guys to ask yourself right now, do you have that belief? Do you know what your specific goal is? And then once you figure that out, tie the why behind that. So to recap on what those whys were so that you can think about yours. One, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, being overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, and not spending enough time with my family. And so it's like a core foundational belief that I believe that we should be able to do that as a family, and it just wasn't happening. So I was willing to change that. The other one was I didn't want to miss any opportunities in the future to be present for my daughters and to be present for, after that, we had 2 more kids, for my sons. And so I want you guys to think about that. And I'm going to touch on one last thing before I let you go. And I think it comes down to perspective a lot of times. Like, I'm not saying you need to do this full time like I'm doing or like Lindsay's doing. But what I am saying is you should really ask yourself, are you trading all of your time for money? Because the way that I look at this business, like I love hunting and fishing and camping and outdoors. So like I look at it like this. I spent 12 hours doing something I didn't love in a factory around people who didn't inspire me to be better, who actually were probably worse for me by the examples of the way that they live their life. And so I made the decision at that time I had to just take a real good hard look at my life. And that's what I want you guys to do, is I said, I have 2 choices right now. When it was hard, when I had that school bus moment, I said 2 things. Number 1, I can just like back off of this business a little bit and just kind of casually do it and casually make income and casually change lives. And I can spend the next 60 years in this factory and I can become the vice president or the head of engineering or the head foreman of the shop or whatever. I can get there because I can work hard. But I looked at those people. Inside of the career I was at, inside of the job I was at. They're 50, 55, 60 years old. They looked like they were 20 years older than that because they've been in a factory 12 hours a day for the past 30, 40 years of their life. They were miserable. They were grumpy. And I looked at their pay, and the pay that they got didn't align with the way that I wanted to live my life and be able to provide for my kids, sending them on missions and helping them get to the colleges that they want. So I had to make that decision. Do I want to spend all my time, effort, and energy continuing down this path? Or number 2, do I want to push through the hard times, the struggles, make sacrifices, and build this business so I can buy back my time? So I can have the freedom to do the things that I want to do with my life. So I want you guys to look at that perspective. And I was having a phone call with a prospect the other day, and he's like, I love my job. And I'm like, I love that you love your job. Like, that's awesome. But he also loves helping people with health and fitness. And I was like, here's the cool thing if you can find a strong why with Beachbody. I look at it like this. Like, let's just imagine in the beginning, if I could go back. You could, for example, let's say you're doing some administrative job and you hate it. But you're doing it because it pays the bills or has good insurance or whatnot. But let's say you really love Zumba. You really love, let's say like me, you love hiking and fishing. Like I could build this business, crush it at this business, make $500 a week, $250, $500, $700 a week as a coach. And I could have left my steel factory job and I could have worked at like Cabela's and sold people fishing rods or camping gear part-time and then build this business. Like there's so many options out there if you go after this and crush it, but you've got to find what that why is and what that driving force is. So I could go on and how the why has continued to change and go on beyond that, but I'm going to just stick with that so you guys can really listen to that story about the cubicle and the hospital bills and bringing my wife home from work. And then number 2, the school bus story, and really think, are you, because of what you do for your work, are you really able to do absolutely everything you want with your life? So my action step for you today is to write that down. And it could be some pain points like I had, and some of them could be things that are really driving and motivating to you, like going on the Success Club trip to Atlantis, or being able to take your kids to Disney World, or whatever it is. I know in your heart and in your mind, there are things that you want to do, but you cannot do them because of your job, not able to take on off work, or because if you do take off work, you won't make enough money to pay for the trip, or you'll go on the trip, but you'll have to say no, like we can't eat out tonight. And there's all of these things that you can't do that you deserve to do. And I want you to know that you deserve to do them. And I want you to know that I believe with all of my heart that if you put your heart and soul into this business and transforming other people, and stop thinking about yourself, which means getting worried about what people think about you and all of those things, and just focus on helping other people get what they want, you'll be able to do whatever it is that you want with your life. Guys, I love you guys. I am going to do a prospect call and then take my daughter and her friends to the temple for a date, and then I got a date with Gabby at noon. So I got to get going, but thanks for listening, and any questions you guys, just drop them below, and I'll come back and answer them the best I can later. See you guys later.